Mark had been working in the same company for 8 long years. He was the kind of employee every boss dreamed of: early to arrive, late to leave, respectful, dependable, and quietly determined. For years, he poured his best into every task. He didn't complain, didn't cut corners. He prayed every morning before going to work. "Lord, I know you see my efforts. I'm trusting you for promotion." And every year, when promotion season came, Mark waited with hope. But this year felt different. He was sure this was his time. He had trained the new hires, closed the company's biggest client, and even earned the respect of his entire department. When his boss, Mr. David, called for a meeting to announce the new department head, Mark's heart raced.
But the name that came out of Mr. David's mouth wasn't his. It was Chris, a colleague he had trained himself. The applause around the room echoed in Mark's ears like thunder. He smiled politely, forcing his lips upward. But inside, something broke. That night, Mark sat alone in his car, staring at the dark parking lot, and whispered, "Lord, why?" He felt forgotten by his boss, by his company, and maybe even by God. He drove home in silence, turned off his phone, and sat in the dark. He thought about how he gave his best, not for fame, but because he wanted to glorify God in his work. And yet here he was, overlooked. The more he thought about it, the heavier his chest became. "Did I do something wrong?" he asked God. "Was I not good enough? Don't you see me working so hard for you?" No voice answered, just silence. The next day, Mark dragged himself to work. His smile was gone, his usual cheerful "good morning" replaced by quiet nods. He worked, but his heart wasn't in it anymore. Days turned into weeks, and bitterness slowly took root. Every time he saw Chris, his former trainee, now his superior, Mark's chest tightened. He couldn't even look at him without hearing that whisper inside. "That should have been you." And in his private prayers, he grew distant. He still prayed, but not with faith. It was more like complaint, disguised as prayer. Then one night, as he was reviewing some project files at home, he got a call. It was Chris. "Hey Mark, I know it's late, but can I ask for your help? The team's struggling with the new project. You know this better than anyone." Mark sighed. Every part of him wanted to say, "Figure it out yourself." But something inside, maybe habit, maybe conviction, pushed him to help. He spent the next few hours guiding Chris and the team, and as he spoke, he realized something. He still cared about the people. He still cared about the work. Maybe the title didn't define his purpose after all. The next Sunday, Mark went to church. He sat in the back pew, tired and quiet. The pastor was preaching from 1 Peter 5:6. "Humble yourselves, therefore, under God's mighty hand, that he may lift you up in due time." The words hit him like a whisper, straight to the heart. Due time. Mark had been living as if his time and God's time should be the same. But maybe they weren't. Maybe God was still working, just not in the way Mark expected. He realized something deeper. He wanted promotion to feel validated, not just by his boss, but by God. But God didn't owe him a promotion to prove his love. His love had already been proven on the cross. Weeks passed, and Mark's heart began to heal. He decided to serve where he was, not for recognition, but for purpose. He mentored the younger employees with patience. He smiled again, genuinely this time. He began to thank God, not for what he didn't get,
but for what he still had: a job, health, peace, and a purpose. One afternoon, Mr. David called him into the office. "Mark," he said, "I've been watching how you handled yourself these past months. You could have left. You could have complained, but instead you chose humility. That tells me more about leadership than any resume ever could." Mark just stood there, silent, unsure what to say. Then his boss smiled. "I want you to take charge of our new overseas branch. It's a bigger responsibility than the promotion you wanted, but I believe you're ready." Mark blinked. He didn't expect it. He didn't even pray for it anymore. But that's how God works. When you stop striving for your own timing and start trusting His, doors open where there were none.
That night, Mark prayed again, not to ask, not to question, but simply to thank. "Lord," he whispered, "thank you. I wanted a promotion, but what you gave me was patience. I wanted recognition, but what you gave me was character. And now I see you weren't withholding blessings. You were preparing me to handle them." He smiled, finally at peace, and as he looked out his window, he realized God's timing is not late, it's just right. Sometimes the promotion you're praying for isn't denied, it's just delayed. Because God's greatest work often happens not when we get what we want, but when we learn to trust Him, even when we don't.